Okay, and we're live.
Awesome. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Caffeine and Confidence. How are you? How's it going? I always like to joke on a Wednesday. Guess what day it is? Yep, it is hump day. And you're welcome back again to Caffeine and Confidence. This is a space where clarity kicks in. The coffee's never decaf, it is always strong. It's a lot of caffeine, and confidence is built in real time. So if you've enjoyed Monday and Tuesday, I promise you are really going to enjoy today. So thank you for joining us. If you're new and this is your first day and you're like, oh, I want to check this thing out, thank you for coming in and hanging out with us. Really appreciate it. So my name is Nicole Gray. I'm the founder of Renewed Impact. And my job, or I always like to say what I love to do, is I help women take up space, speak up, and lead louder. That's something I'm very passionate about. And my fabulous partner in all things caffeine and confidence is Kristina Green. And she's nicknamed by her clients as the generational translator. I know. We've got to get that on a t-shirt, Kristina. So she helps organizations move beyond the hand-me-down leadership and outdated systems we've all come to loathe. As founder of Cardigan Careers, she helps leaders improve their generational intelligence to build workplace cultures that retain talent and thrive across every level. So how you doing, partner? You doing good?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic, and I am just as excited. This week has been going so well. Our guests have been just, dropping the gems and
Oh, I
really
know.
bringing the fire. And David is, I'll introduce you to David in just a minute here, is going to be no different. He is one of my favorite people and humans on the planet. And so I know that we're going to have a great time today. So thank you for the
That
introduction, Nicole.
Well, you're welcome. And that's why I think, Kristina, we eventually going to have to come up with a podcast called In the Green Room, because I think me, you, and our guests have the most fun in the green room, if you will. So I'm just throwing it out there as an idea. So,
And I'm catching it. I'm catching it.
all right. Well, I'll let you go ahead and introduce our guest for today.
All right, perfect. So thank you everyone for joining us midweek. As Nicole said, that this has been a fire week. And today we're going to continue the conversation with our special guest today, Dr. David Hooper, who is, as you heard me say, one of my favorite humans. And so let me tell you a little bit more about David. He is an executive change partner and the founder of Lunarla AI. I hope I said that right, David. A consultancy that helps leadership teams lead strategic change through AI implementation and executive coaching. And let me tell you, don't be afraid of AI. If you're afraid of AI, just follow David, connect with David, because he breaks it down in ways that are so easily digestible for you and for your business. There's a massive trend of everybody moving in this space and trying to figure out how to adopt AI in the work that they do, but it can boil down to just one app, just one task, and he is saving companies hundreds of thousands of dollars and pounds. And so I would definitely urge you to connect with him. We will give you all of his information as we go through the live today. Some other things that you may not know about David is he is a total badass. He has fought his own battle and overcome his own battle with clinical depression. He has lost 80 pounds. Holy crap, man. So David, you're going to have to tell us about that. And he became an ultra marathon runner. I mean, is there anything that you're not doing? I don't know.
Yeah,
But
because you had me at the 80 pounds.
like you lost it, Mike. So you're gonna have to tell me how you did that.
Yeah.
And then he's also too been featured in some globally recognized publications, just to name two: Men's Health, if you've ever heard of that, and BBC, and so many more. So definitely follow David and connect with him, because he's going to tell us exactly how it is that he manages his confidence. How do you navigate this struggle? But we'll get in that in just a minute. But David, thank you so much for joining us today, and welcome to Caffeine and Confidence.
Welcome, David.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. It's amazing to be here with you. I'm so excited. Yeah, I'm excited to get into this.
Nice, nice. All right, well, let's just dive right in. So, David, what does confidence look like for you right now?
I think at the moment it's a couple of things. I think the first one is really backing myself. So I take or try to always take big action, major action, and I always believe that I can go and achieve that. And I think the first thing when it comes to confidence was having the belief that I could go and do that big thing, whatever it is. So yeah, making bold moves, being aggressive with my action, and feeling like I have the power within me to go and achieve anything I want.
Nice.
Oh wow. That's self-belief. Man, where does that come from, David? Because the power to believe that you can achieve anything. I mean, I got to tell you that when that imposter syndrome comes and attacks me every other day, right? Slaps me in the face as I open my eyes. Where do
Yeah.
you where are you drawing on that energy?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting question because imposter syndrome, or kind of, yeah, lacking in confidence, is something that we all suffer with. It just
Mhm.
is on different levels. And the way I've tried to deal with it is, and it's not a nice answer particularly, but it's by trying to do the thing or trying to make progress towards doing the thing. So let me give you an example. When I was in university, well, actually, let me take you further back. When I was in uh, middle school, so that's about 11 or 12 years old in the UK, I recall really vividly putting my hand up in class, the teacher picking me to answer the question, and I got the question wrong, and the whole class laughed. And I remember kind of sinking back into my seat and going, "Oh, I'm so embarrassed. I feel awful." And from that moment on, so from about, like I say, 12 years old, roughly, through university, so through high school, through university, I did not say a word. I developed social
Wow.
anxiety. I developed, I wouldn't answer a question. If there was a presentation in at university, I wouldn't do it, or I'd hide behind people and I would do the slide that said what we were going to talk about, and then I'd kind of run off stage. And I got to the point at the back end of university when I was about 21, roughly, where I knew that I had really big goals. And I also knew that part of those goals meant I was going to have to face this fear. And it was a fear of public speaking. So what I did was just started to raise my hand for those different challenges, really, or opportunities, if you kind of rephrase that. So when I went into my master's degree, anytime there was a presentation, I put myself forward to try and lead it. I wasn't any good, but I was trying to put myself in a position where I could experience these
Yeah.
different things. And from doing that repetition, that action led me to putting my hand up for different kind of presentations at bigger levels. I eventually ended up starting a podcast. And by the time I've fast forwarded a few years, by taking action, I'm now here with you, connecting with people all over the world, doing speaking and business and all these different things. So I think the long answer to your question is trying to take a little bit of action towards whatever that big goal is can help you break down those barriers if you just knuckle down and kind of keep going with it.
Yeah.
David, I'm so glad you shared that story, because I think that sometimes a lot of people, especially when we, become adults and you get older, a lot of people don't realize it is something that happened when you were younger. You know what I mean? Like they don't connect the dots. It was interesting what you said about public speaking, because I feel like I was always that kid who was always speaking in front of people. But I think what people don't realize, even till this day, I still get that like pit in my stomach, where I still always get very extremely nervous, right? And Kristina and I used to joke, because it's that whole coming to the stage, and I'm not, maybe they don't say that, but it's like right when they're introducing you, I still feel like I'm about to. It's like, oh, that feeling. I mean, even the countdown for lives, or if I'm recording and it's like in 5, 4, 3, it's like, but as soon as I'm live, I'm good, but I still get that feeling. And it's like, it doesn't go away, but I just have the confidence of knowing I'm gonna get through it. It may not be perfect, but I'm gonna get through it. So I really appreciate you sharing that story.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Well,
I think that, sorry, Kristina, I think that when you see the big stars or the big speakers or whatever we call them go on stage, a lot of those people, unless you're Tony Robbins, they will have that same feeling, that anxiety, the nerves, I'm about to be judged, will I mess up, all those different things. And it becomes a case of, right, how can I use that energy in a different way? So I'm exactly the same, by the way, Nicole. So, even before this session, I'm looking at the clock that it's 45 minutes till go time. I go into a bit of a routine, and I am able to kind of prepare myself, but it's still there, the countdown when it's coming, it's still there, the nerves. But there's a couple of things that I found really helped me deal with this situation, and it's exactly the same no matter what the situation is. Mine just happens to be the public speaking part, because I love it's similar again, Nicole. I love the public speaking part, but the run up to it, the adrenaline, the anxiety, it's all there. So I do a couple of things. Well, I won't. Two things I do. One, I have a pre-routine, almost like a pre-match routine. So I was brought up playing elite sport as a younger person. So I always have that kind of, I call the pre-match routine, where I'm preparing myself. And then the last part of that routine, the last kind of 15 minutes, it becomes a bit of a mental game. So I try and reframe the nerves and the energy into excitement. I can't wait to talk to my new friends. I'm excited to help people. And suddenly that anxiety turns into excitement, because I'm a bit of a people pleaser and I want to help people. So I'm like, right, let me at them. So but I totally get what how you were saying as well.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I have to listen to music right before. It's kind of like I have to have my hype song, and it changes. It depends on the mood I'm in. It could be DMX, it could be Eminem, it could be it could be old school 90s hip hop. It just kind of depends on the mood I'm in. Like this morning, it was Luther Vandross. I wanted to hear some old school. You know what I mean? Like I just need to get in that mood, that mode, and then I'm good. So once I hear that, I'm like, all right, let's do this. So
yeah, I love that.
Absolutely. Well, David, what would you say is the one thing you've had to unlearn throughout your journey to kind of step into your confidence?
I think that the thing I've had to unlearn is not to be an ass, really, not to be arrogant, and not to be someone that I didn't really feel comfortable being. So in my younger days, I was a very good football player or a soccer player. I was the guy who didn't go to school because I was playing football, and all those sorts of things that had me believing that I was going to be this elite athlete. And what that led me to was thinking I was better than a lot of people, thinking I was going to be this superstar. And that meant that I was overly confident, arrogant a little bit. And I didn't feel like that was me. I was kind of mirroring what I was seeing other people in my situation do, and thought, oh, to be successful, you've got to be a bit of a dick, when that definitely isn't the case at all. And when I realized that some of the best skills you can have are understanding, kindness, empathy, I just kind of melted into what I think is a true version of myself, because that I used to have a saying that I didn't have an ego, or all these different things, when really I just love helping people and supporting people. So I think if I reflect, but I'm sure there's lots of things that I had to unlearn, because lots of things wrong over here. But I think that one really, I can put a pin in and say the day I stopped being so arrogant was the day that I really allowed myself to be, who I am.
Okay, that's so interesting. And David, I got to tell you, everything I know about it, because we've known each other for just over a year. And I would never pin you for being an ass, being arrogant, or any of that. So you have either done a really great job of truly unlearning that, or maybe you've beat yourself up a bit too much about how you feel that you used to be. So, and that's just my personal experience. But thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
David, when do you feel most impactful in either work or your life? Like, when is that?
It's helping people. It's when I leave a conversation and that person has had some value from me, or I've really helped that person. So that's one of the reasons that I love coaching, because the support that you can give people is just, mind blowing to me. I think it's such a great thing to get involved with. And I think that when I have those conversations, and since I've started an AI business, I've been really lucky to have some great conversations where, people have said, oh, you've blown my mind with what you've showed me. That feeling of, great, I've left you in a better place than I found you is something that I really think is good. And I only ever want to add, I never want to detract from anybody. So I think if I can have a really good conversation and feel like I'm serving you, then that's where I really, really feel comfortable.
That's awesome. And how do you approach AI with your coaching? Like, how do you use it? Because there's still, I always find it interesting. I still know a few people who are like, yeah, I don't mess with the AI stuff. I'm not trying to mess with that. They still think it's like, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, and AI is going to take over and kill us all.
Totally. They might be right. No, not really. Let's cut that.
You never know, but for the most part, when I use it, it's fine.
Oh man, no. I mean, so the first thing I would say to those people is that I completely respect their point of view. That's everybody has a choice whether they want to use AI or not. The flip side of that is, everybody who has said they don't use AI is using AI. They just don't realize it. It's it's in our cars, it's on Netflix, it's in our heating systems. It's there's this golden thread of AI in our lives already, whether we like it or not. That's just the way the world is kind of built now. But I would suggest everybody look at history and what history tells us. So there's been a few kind of major breakthroughs in technology over the past couple of 100 years. I think in the 1800s, roughly, there were, the breakthrough of the tractor in agriculture, which completely changed farming. We then had the more recent ones, like in the 1980s, when kind of the internet and laptops were created, and then we had social media in the mid 2000s, and now we're at AI. And there's obviously lots aligned with that as well. Things like going into space or electricity. These are major pieces of technology that a lot of the time split the nation, where half the nation said this is great, the other half said I'm not messing with that. So if we take social media as the example, if we had this podcast in 1999 and I said, in a couple of years, you're going to run your business online, you're going to take payments online, you don't need a storefront, you're going to do all your marketing virtually, you can meet people across the world, a lot of business owners would go, no, that sounds like witchcraft.
Yep.
And what we found, though, is there isn't a business in the world now that doesn't have a LinkedIn account or a TikTok account or Instagram. So I think that history leaves clues, and we are at that point now where it's almost like we're sitting in Mark Zuckerberg's dormitory and he's talking about Facebook. We're there now with AI. In 5 years, AI won't really be a conversation. It'll be, I use AI for that, or, you might not even think about it at all. So I think that it's, to kind of bring it back, it's AI is here, it isn't going away, and it might be in your best interests just to kind of be aware of what's going on, because it will just filter down into what we do even more so in the coming years.
Yeah, I was thinking, man, you know how big we would have been if we were doing podcasts in 1999? I'm just saying.
Yeah,
So.
could have racked the episodes up.
It would have been on dial-up, hosted in an AOL chat room or something.
It would have taken a little bit to start, but
Gotta get the running started. Oh my goodness. Well, David, I mean, definitely, unpacking that AI bubble for us, because, you've helped me to realize this as well. AI is part of our day to day, whether or not we know it, unless we're still driving around with VW bugs, which I would love to, but I don't have it yet. Oh yes, dial up, Jennifer, right? Who remembers that sound?
Yeah.
So my question is, when we bring it back to confidence, what advice would you give to someone who is ready to start to show up more confidently, right? But maybe what does that next step look like? How do they take a first step?
Yeah, I think a lot of the time with confidence, we get into this almost whirlwind of overthinking, and we paralyze ourselves with that. And, should I do X, Y, or Z? And then we end up doing none of them because we're pros and cons of each of those. So I
David,
think
stop
that would be
acting like you know me. Stop acting like you know me.
Yeah, that's all right. I know I'm only speaking from experience completely.
I was like this. Okay,
Yeah.
fine. I hear you.
Oh man. And once we've gone, okay, I'm overthinking this a little bit. Can we get some clarity about one thing that you really want to do? So if you've got a big goal, could we break that down into one little step or something smaller? Because what we want to do as quickly as possible is take action on whatever that thing is. So if you're procrastinating on starting a business, which can last for months, it might be in a full-time job, you might be in a part-time job, you might be doing all these other things and think, I want to start this business, there's a gap in the market, that's my path, I can have the most impact with people here. Maybe instead of thinking about what my offer would be, how I would plan the website, would I start a podcast to go along with it, maybe you would just dial that all back and say, I'm going to speak to 5 people who this might help and see if it's a good idea. And you could do that immediately. You could do that this afternoon. So I think that it's always going to be messy. It's always going to be terrible to start with. I remember doing my first podcast episodes, a few years ago, and you look back and go, oh, they were awful, but they allow you to learn from them. You reflect on them and you get to a point where you feel a bit better than them. So accept that it's going to be messy. Try and be consistent with little bits of action, and that's going to allow you to feel a bit better about yourself. That's kind of how I would approach it.
I love that.
I love that. Especially the whole point is consistency is key, right? Like it's never going to be perfect. I mean, I look back at I used to have a sports podcast years ago, and I look back at some of those older videos. I'm like, ew. Like, at the time I thought I was doing something. I'm like, oh no, I definitely have gotten better over the years, but I've just been consistent with it. That's really the key. So yeah.
And just showing up. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Just showing up, David.
All right, David. So we've got a little something for you. We've been doing this with all our guests this week. For those of you watching, I always say play along at home or wherever you are. So it's a little game where you're going to finish these sentences, or you're going to either add a word to a sentence. So I'll kick it off. The version of success I was taught to chase is
9 to 5 office job.
That's right.
Wow.
Well,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then next one. Power looks like blank when no one's watching.
Showing up. Power looks like showing up when no one's watching.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. All right. I feel safest when I blank.
Safest when I'm probably out in nature with my wife and my dog, just yeah, loving the hills.
And he's got some great photos out there. Man, you live in a very beautiful part of this world, David.
Yeah,
And okay, so how about my silence used to protect me? Now it blank.
Ooh, let's not unpick that thread too much. Now it now it spurs me on for sure. Now it's a place I feel so comfortable. Yeah.
Good.
All right. So the cost of staying small is.
For me, unhappiness.
Mm. All right. How about I've been loud about blank, but quiet about blank.
Ooh, these are hard. These are really hard. These are good but hard.
David's like the microscope, like we're all in, like we.
What have I been quiet about? Okay, I've been loud about the work and success, but quiet about the struggles and the challenges that I've had to overcome.
I love
Man,
that.
I felt that one. I felt it.
Right along with you.
Yeah, because I feel like people always see our after, they don't see the before.
Oh yeah.
You know, people always are like, "Oh, girl, you're doing this and the other." Yeah, but it took a lot for me to get to this, that, and the other. So
yeah. And I think one phrase that really helped me and just kind of made me realize I was on the right path is that, and I'm not certain who said it, but it wasn't me. That if you've ever sat in the dark at midnight with your head in your hands, thinking, why on earth have I started this? Whether it's a business, a podcast, weight loss, a massive goal, whatever it is, you are on the right track. And that's something that I always come back to, because I've sat plenty of times with my head in my hands thinking, why am I doing this? That just means you're doing the right work. It's not meant to be easy. It's meant to be a challenge. And that's why when you reach where you're hoping to go, you'll have learned so much, and will feel so fulfilled when you get there as well.
Absolutely. I've had many of those nights, that's for sure.
All right. Oh yeah, definitely. All right, David. So when I finally stopped explaining myself, I complete the sentence.
Felt happy. Yeah, felt happy and just accepted. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that one hits home as well.
I could see that you lit up when you said that, David.
Yeah.
I
think, and it's so interesting. It's something about not having to explain yourself. It is it is happiness, and you kind of feel like you've made it. I don't know what that is, but that I know that feeling. I love that.
Yeah. I think that we all have that person maybe, or that something in your life that you always feel, you've got to kind of appease. And I think that when you get to that point of going, actually, I'm making this decision for me and not for somebody else, that's a really empowering position to get into.
Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, so your last question, which is the boldest thing I've said lately is?
Be that person that when your feet hit the floor, the devil goes, oh shit, they're up.
Yes.
Okay,
I always love that.
I love that quote. Yeah.
Yeah, that's always been one of my favorites too. I love that. I love that. Yeah, anytime I can piss the devil off, I'm doing something good.
Yes.
Oh, right. Oh, David, this has been an amazing, short time with you. And I think I know Nicole and I have been so appreciative of your time, and everyone tuning in and everybody who will watch the replay, that, help everybody understand, how can they connect with you? How can they follow you? How can they get in contact with you, either for their business needs or really just to follow your journey?
Yeah, so I'm quite active on social media. So I'm on LinkedIn, TikTok, and Instagram, all with at Dr. David Hooper as my handle. Please, if I can help with anybody's coaching or high performance or AI stuff, please just get in touch. I'd love to help if I can. And then we've just created a business website. So it's lunarla.co.uk. And it's taken so much time. So please have a look at it.
This is
Absolutely.
awesome.
Oh, lots of people.
Yep.
You're
There's
very
a lot of
welcome.
people saying thank you, David.
Oh, my pleasure. It's been lovely to spend this time with you. I just, yeah, we should have done it even longer. Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we'll definitely do it again. I will say it's a blessing to be an adult and meet new people and like just really click with those people. That's why I felt like when I met Kristina. And honestly, I just felt like that with just meeting you today. I feel like we've known each other for a long time.
Totally.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
looking
I'm so
forward to having
pleased.
more conversations with you.
Yeah, we
Brilliant.
keep good people in orbit with one another, right? And our
Yeah.
networks, I think, are a reflection of that. And David, this has just been another great session, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you again. If you
Excuse me.
haven't connected with David, please, we'll be dropping all of his handles information in the comments. And if for some reason you can't get connected, please contact me, contact Nicole. We will make sure you get connected. But David, thank you so much for being with us today. Everyone, thank you very much for tuning in. And Nicole, I'll kick it back to you.
Yeah, well, before we wrap up, if you've been with us the last couple of days, I always like to leave our listeners and those who are watching with a little something. So here's your reminder for today. Confidence isn't a performance, it's a practice. And sometimes it's as quiet as a decision to speak, to lead, to rest, to believe. So let today sit with you, let it shift something. And when you step into your next room, do it like you know you belong there. So with that, I want to say keep shining, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Take care, everyone.